They think power comes from size, from numbers, from alliances stitched in fear. But real power, true, unforgiving dominance comes from the one who's tasted betrayal and didn't flinch. The one who was thrown into the pit and clawed their way out, not begging for light, but dragging the darkness with them. You don't defeat your enemy with mercy. You dismantle them slowly, deliberately, like pulling teeth from a screaming mouth. You don't show restraint. You show them what it means to cross someone who has nothing left to lose and everything to burn. Mastering the art isn't about revenge. It's about precision, about making every blow personal. You don't just win, you make them regret ever thinking they could win. You study their patterns. You analyze their arrogance. Then you strike exactly when their ego blinds them, exactly where they think they're invincible. And when you hit with the force of every moment they underestimated you. Vengeance doesn't come loud, it arrives in silence, in the deafening stillness before everything collapses around them. You become the nightmare they mocked, the force they never believed in. You let them build their illusion of victory, and when they smile, you take it all. Not just their strength, their will, their image, their delusions. You leave nothing but ruin and the memory of you carved into every ounce of their defeat. That's how you win. And when it's done, when the ashes settle and they're on their knees, confused, gasping, begging to rewrite the past, you don't look away. You watch, not out of cruelty, but clarity. Because this is the moment they realize it was never a fair fight. You were never their equal. You were their reckoning. The consequence they summoned with their arrogance. And now they understand too late that the storm wasn't coming. You were the storm. Every time they laughed behind your back, every smear, every silent war waged in shadows they thought you didn't notice. They mistook your patience for weakness. They called you soft because you didn't swing first. But what they didn't see was the way you were building, the way you were sharpening your mind, fortifying your spirit, stacking every insult like ammunition. And now, you've weaponized your pain. You've turned every scar into strategy. This isn't just a win. It's a lesson carved into their reality. See, mastering the art of defeating your enemy isn't about brute force, it's about knowing when to strike, how deep, and with what intention. Not just to beat them, but to change them. You break the foundation they stand on. You take away their excuses. You crush the idea that they ever had control. And when they look into your eyes, they don't see rage. They see calculation. They see the face of the future they tried to bury your face. Because this isn't revenge, it's evolution. This is what happens when the hunted stops running and becomes the architect of war. You want to know the real secret? It was never about them. It was about you. You had to be tested. You had to be broken. You had to be left alone in the cold, stripped of your comfort, your trust, your illusions. Only then could you build something they'd never understand, a version of you that answers to no one, bows to nothing, and fears no one. While they were playing games, you were building an empire of discipline in your mind. While they were mocking you, you were learning to weaponize silence. They laughed at your downfall, but you learned to rise like it was a ritual. And now you don't just fight, you orchestrate. You conduct war like a symphony, each move calculated, each blow symbolic. Because this isn't just about crushing your enemies. It's about erasing the idea that they ever had power over you. They wanted to make an example out of you. Now they are the example burnt into the memory of everyone who ever dared to doubt you. You don't just defeat your enemies anymore. You command their collapse. And make no mistake, this is vengeance, but not the kind that screams or loses control. This vengeance is patient, surgical, cold like steel, and twice as sharp. It doesn't beg for justice. It delivers it in full. It doesn't announce itself with noise. It arrives in silence and leaves in wreckage. And the beauty of it, you don't need applause. You don't need credit. The destruction speaks for you. Because now you move with intent. You walk like someone who's seen the underworld and chose to build a throne there. You don't flinch. You don't warn. You decide. You are the authority now. And they are just a reminder of what happens when you try to bury someone who was born in the depths. A reminder that some people don't come back for peace. They come back to dominate. You've mastered the art, not just of defeating your enemies, but of becoming the standard they'll never reach. They made you a monster? No. You made yourself a force. And now, you end what you choose to end, at will, without mercy, without hesitation. Because vengeance isn't personal anymore. It's your discipline, your art, your law. So now you walk among them not hidden, not timid but unchallenged. They feel it in the air before you speak. The weight, the presence, the pressure. That suffocating silence when a predator enters the room, not to announce itself, but to observe because it already knows who will fall first. You don't need to threaten anyone. You don't need theatrics. Your history is the warning. Your survival is the prophecy. And your vengeance? That's the judgment they never saw coming. Let them talk. Let them gather, scheme, regroup in circles, because now you understand how fragile they are. How loud cowards become when they feel your shadow stretch over them. You've turned pain into precision, betrayal into blueprint. And when you strike now, you don't just shatter them, you shatter the idea that they ever mattered. Because once you master the art, you don't waste time proving anything. You simply decide who stays and who gets erased. They called you dangerous before they understood you. Now they fear you because they finally do. They see what happens when someone becomes immune to chaos, when someone stops caring about fitting in, pleasing others, or being understood. You're not here for peace talks. You're not here to negotiate. You're not here for redemption. You're here because they lit a fire they can't put out. A fire that walks, breathes, and remembers every name, every laugh, every time they thought you were done. And the beauty. You're still evolving, still rising. Because true mastery doesn't end with one enemy. It becomes a way of life. You no longer react. You anticipate. You no longer defend. You define. They can rebuild, try again, whisper your name like a curse, but deep down they know. Once you've been through hell and shook hands with your demons, there's nothing they can do to break you. Because what they thought was your weakness was just your weapon being forged. So let them look. Let them wonder how you did it. How you survived, how you came back harder, colder, cleaner. Let them guess, because you don't owe them a story. You don't owe them an explanation. You owe them nothing except the storm they earned. And when it's all said and done, when they've fallen, faded, forgotten, you'll still be standing, silent, focused, untouched. Because that's what it means to master the art of defeating your enemy at will. You don't just win. You rewrite the rules. Like, comment, and subscribe.